to see billionaires amass extraordinary wealth and bureaucrats amass enormous power with little scrutiny, and to watch the most vulnerable amongst us die of drug overdoses. Do we need to pull up your articles again? Do we need to pull up what you wrote about? You had travel blogs. You wrote about how you can retire early if you pay off your student debts. You wrote about how Vancouver is the Zen capital of the world. Here's how to learn about the yoga. Why didn't you write about how Vancouver has a huge housing crisis? Why didn't you write about all the drug overdoses in Vancouver? We are the epicenter of the drug overdoses in Canada. East Hastings is riddled with people dying every day from drug overdoses. Where are the articles on that? If you're writing about how zen Vancouver is and how we should all be doing yoga more, you should be writing about how people literally die on the streets, that we need more safe injection sites. I have volunteered at one of those sites. I have seen it firsthand. So, you know how Canada is kind of like a more boring version of America in a lot of ways? Like, we got the funny accents and we got the Trudeau and we got the maple syrup and the mafia. We got a maple syrup mafia. That's pretty interesting. Y'all don't have a maple syrup mafia, so that's cool. But we usually just have a more boring version of something America's doing. And in the case of Tara Henley, we got ourselves a Barry Weiss. Yeah, we got ourselves a Barry Weiss because we got someone who is doing a quit, a self cancellation. And is doing it because apparently the CBC is too woke. The CBC went too woke and they quit. And as expected, they have become the darling child overnight of the right, not only of the right in Canada. The leader of the Conservative Party reached out to Tara Henley immediately and was like, we should talk about why the CBC is garbage. But also the right in America. A whole bunch of right-wing figures are celebrating Tara Henley. She is the new célébrité du jour. She may become the new Canadian, I don't know, Jordan Peterson or Stephen Crowder or Lauren Southern or Stefan Molyneux. Doesn't matter whom. And of course, I might be going a little too hard because she's not in any way as bad as those people. She's kind of like, I would equate her kind of writing to BuzzFeed style clickbait Libby stuff. That's what she's written. But Glenn Greenwald was excited, incredibly excited. Look at this. A journalist who worked at the CBC quits after 8 years, citing the repressive environment where liberal left ideology and woke pieties dictate reporting and bar all dissent. She's going to Substack to do journalism without those constraints. When will people realize the crisis? The woke crisis that is happening everywhere. This isn't some right-wing journalist. She was long amongst the most left-wing of her own statement. She stated that she was to the left of everyone else, okay? This is, again, like Glenn Greenwald. They're actually very similar. They've both done this thing now where they're like, I didn't change. Okay, I didn't change. Everyone just kind of got radical around me. And it seems like everyone else is just way too far left. It's almost like there's, I don't know, if you could call the political ideologies like a window, and there's like a shifting of it. You know, it turns, the window turns over, kind of something like that. I don't know how to explain it. Something to that effect. This happens in newsrooms across the West. It's easy to dismiss and mock if your ideology, liberalism, is the dominant one, but it's a major threat to journalism. When corporate outlets tout the rigors of their editorial process, all they mean is that they scrub articles from anything that contravenes establishment liberalism. Some manage to do good reporting here, but most outlets are just activist machines for Western left liberal ideology. Now, the thing with Glenn here is that he's really combining what he despises, which is liberalism, I assume, with what he thinks is a combination of leftist ideologies with liberalism. So he thinks that liberalism has basically weaponized on this one end the idea of identity politics, and which is true, by the way. That is just like, that is the terrain and the realm of the liberals. It's not the terrain and the realm of the left. Like, the left aren't weaponizing that for political action. Like, Kamala Harris coming out and saying, I'm Kamala Harris, she, her pronouns. That is Kamala Harris, as a liberal, as a neoliberal, and a proud one as well, trying to utilize identity politics to suddenly create that situation where more people will put, like, reporters will report on this. It's suddenly going to become part of the news cycle. It's going to be like, oh, did you hear that Kamala Harris actually is, pronouncing her pronouns in public and stuff like that? They're always a couple steps behind the left who are doing those kind of things for social causes. Like, the left has hated Joe Rogan for a long time, and for good reason, because he's a huge transphobe, and he promotes a lot of transphobes, and the left was aware of that. So they were doing videos years ago on Joe Rogan, like 4 years ago they were doing videos on Joe Rogan, being like, hey, why does Joe Rogan keep promoting the intellectual dark web? Why does he keep having Ben Shapiro, Steven Crowder, Jordan Peterson, like all these people who are huge transphobes to spread transphobic rhetoric on his platform. Liberals did not care. They weren't mentioning Joe Rogan. He was just kind of like a UFC bro, you know? He gets a $100 million contract. He goes on to Spotify. Everything's doing great. And then all of a sudden, oh, hold on.
Take some of my tech industry blood money. Don't want my boy Lance being a broke.
Wait, it didn't say bitch. Being a broke bitch. Oh, I can say it for you. Thank you so much, Sharky, for the tier 4. Tier 4. My word. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. That's very, very generous of you. But anyways, yeah. No one had a problem with Joe Rogan on the liberal side of the political aisle until very recently, when Joe Rogan started becoming very anti-vax, and not like straight up like the vaccine is 5G, blah, 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 but starts hosting a whole bunch of people who are going to say things like, oh, the lockdowns are draconian. You don't really need to wear a mask. It doesn't protect you from COVID-19. I mean, the vaccines, we never talk about the fact that AstraZeneca creates blood clots, and why are we not allowed to talk about that? Have you heard about ivermectin? Have you heard about this? Have you heard about zinc? Zinc has a lot of properties that we don't talk about. Why don't we ever, like, that's when all of a sudden Joe Rogan was persona non grata. Now he's getting, you know, dragged through by liberal media and everyone is talking about him. And don't worry, we're going to get to the whole Ethan Klein drama and all that kind of stuff. But anyways, that's what I think Glenn Greenwald likes to combine when he does the two. And again, Tara Henley, look at how many, look at the virality of this. 15,000 likes, 1,234 quote tweets. Like all of a sudden, and again, the Aaron O'Toole was amongst the people that I've seen. You know, Jordan Peterson is very proud of her. A whole bunch of people are like, Tara Henley, the new hero of free speech. Thank you for joining Substack. Tanya Tagak says, it's a big tell if you think radical political agenda oriented on an Ivy League campus and not from the blood, sweat, and tears of oppressed people. True. Man. Tanya, such a good musician. But let's see. Let's see what Tara has to say. For months now, I've been getting complaints about the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, where I've worked as a TV and radio producer, an occasional on-air columnist for the past decade. People want to know why, for example, non-binary Filipinos concerned about a lack of LGBT terms in Tagalog is an editorial priority for the CBC, when local issues of broad concern go unreported, or why our pulp culture radio show's coverage of the Dave Chappelle Netflix special failed to include any of the legions of fans or comics that did not find it offensive, or why exactly taxpayers should be funding articles that scold Canadians for using words such as brainstorm and lame. Zonia Dead, thank you so much. Ico Stan fam greetings. Oh, nice. We stan Ico rules here. It's true. Everyone asks the same thing. What is going on at the CBC? When I started the National Public Broadcaster in 2013, the network produced some of the best journalism in the country. And by the time I resigned last month, it embodied some of the worst trends in mainstream media. In a short period of time, the CBC went from being a trusted source of news to churning out clickbait that reads like a parody of the student press. That's so rich, by the way. I'm sorry. Pause it. Oh no, sorry. I got Sam on the go. Here we go.
Pause it.
Because she produced clickbait. That was what she did. Hold on. I think Q took a copy of at least 4 of her articles. The CBC has its problems with prizing the aesthetics over diversity, over reporting on the material conditions of everyday Canadians. True, but there's something wretched about burning bridges to fuel your indie venture when your body of work is drab, forgettable content like this. Let's take a look. And call me Patino. Thanks for gifting a sub to Ico Rules. Look at these articles. 6 surprising lessons we can all learn from early retirement gurus. Cut costs to live large. Yeah, CBC has really turned into BuzzFeed clickbait. You were not contributing to that in any way, shape, or form. I'm 41 and I just paid off my $60,000 master's student loan. Here's how. Debt busting doesn't have to be miserable, and other things I wish I knew. Ooh. 5 amazing stories from the dude who mapped BC for Google Earth. When you trek all over BC by foot, horse, boat, float plane, and helicopter, you're gonna see a grizzly bear or 2. 5 Zen things to do in Vancouver, Canada's epicenter of chill, restore, laugh, and let the Gong Master take away you to Lotus Land. Cool. Yeah, I'm glad you left because the CBC was becoming too much like BuzzFeed. That's a statement. Anyways, sorry, I digress. Return. Those of us on the inside know just how swiftly and dramatically the politics of the public broadcaster have shifted. I used to be the one who was the furthest left in any newsroom. I was the furthest left, occasionally causing strain in my story meetings with my views on issues like the housing crisis. I'm now easily the most conservative, frequently sparking tension by questioning identity politics. This happened in the span of about 18 months. My own politics did not change. Like, I'm sorry. You know what this all sounds? Oh yeah, I gotta get these ready.
Pause it.
You know what this all sounds like? This sounds like someone was like, "Oh hi, by the way, my name is Gwen, and I use they them pronouns." And she was like, "What?" And it's like, "Yeah, I use they them pronouns." It's like, no, I'm not doing that. I will not consent. I do not submit. Okay, I'm not buying into this woke ideology. No. I'm not trying to politicize anything. I'm just trying to explain that I don't use he or she. I don't use it. I use they, them. That's my pronouns. God, it's happening in real time. It's happened here like it happened other places before here. They've come. The woke are here now. To work at the CBC in the current climate is to embrace cognitive dissidence and to abandon journalistic integrity. It is to sign on enthusiastically to a radical political agenda that oriented on Ivy League campuses in the United States and spread through America. You're watching PragerU. You're just watching PragerU. Spread through America on social media platforms that monetize outrage and stoke societal divisions. It is to pretend that the woke worldview is near universal, even if it is far from popular with those you know and speak to and interview and read. To work at the CBC now is to accept the idea that race is the most significant thing about a person, and that some races are more relevant to the public conversation. Some races are more relevant? What? I can't help but think that you are trying to make your race more relevant than mine. Why would you do that to me? This, by the way... Okay, hold on.
Pause it.
This is the article that Glenn Greenwald was like, this speaks to the problem that everyone is ignoring. Finally, someone had the bravery to call this out for what it is. Oh my God. It is to become less adversarial. Oh yeah, here. To government and corporations and more hostile to ordinary people with ideas that Twitter doesn't like. It is to endlessly document microaggressions and pay little attention to evictions, to spotlight companies' political platitudes, but have little interest in wages or working conditions. It is to allow sweeping societal changes like lockdowns, vaccine mandates, and school closures to roll out with little debate. Uh-oh, kind of went Max off there. Don't like the inconveniences. Yeah. Again, I think it's inconveniences. I think it's straight up just someone who was like, yeah, they, them pronouns. And they were like, okay, so they, oh God. And everyone's like, no, it's they, them. It's like, I know, fuck, no, woke ideology. I will not consent. I will not submit. To see billionaires amass extraordinary wealth and bureaucrats amass enormous power with little scrutiny, and to watch the most vulnerable amongst us die of drug overdoses. Do we need to pull up your articles again? Do we need to pull up what you wrote about? You had travel blogs. You wrote about how you can retire early if you pay off your student debts. You wrote about how Vancouver is the Zen capital of the world. Here's how to learn about the yoga. Why didn't you write about how Vancouver has a huge housing crisis? Why didn't you write about all the drug overdoses in Vancouver? We are the epicenter of the drug overdoses in Canada. East Hastings is riddled with people dying every day from drug overdoses. Where are the articles on that? If you're writing about how zen Vancouver is and how we should all be doing yoga more, you should be writing about how people literally die on the streets, that we need more safe injection sites. I have volunteered at one of those sites. I have seen it firsthand. It is to consent to the idea that a growing list of subjects are off the table, that dialogue itself can be harmful, that the big issues of our time are already settled. It is to capitulate to certainty, to shut down critical thinking, to stamp out curiosity, to keep one's mouth shut, to not ask questions or rock the boat. This, while the world burns. And at the time you were taking a stand, writing about how amazing it is to travel the world without student debt. How could good journalism possibly be done under such conditions? How could anyone possibly be healthy for society? Again, the reason I'm comparing her to Barry Weiss is because this is a self-cancellation that she has done herself. And because of that, now it is like, please consider... Oh, and here it is. Here's the grift. This work is entirely independent and free from editorial control. Allow me to say things that are not said and to ask questions that are not being asked. Lean Out is solely supported by subscribers. If you care about a world of ideas and value open inquiry as I do, please consider a paid subscription. So if you want to subscribe to her Substack to learn about how the wokes are destroying the world, you can now do that because Tara Henley has resigned from the CBC, endorsed by Glenn Greenwald and the right. Cool stuff. Oh, by the way, here's a little factoid for everybody. Rob of Rob Rousseau, if you haven't checked out twitch.tv/Rob Rousseau, the real free speech problem in Canada isn't woke cancel culture or whatever. It's that no one is allowed to ever question our disastrous imperialist foreign policy or status as a loyal lapdog to the US State Department. And do you want proof of that? Oh shit, here's the proof. If you don't believe Rob, I dug into Canadian editorial stances on wars and regime change since the First World War. They have supported, get this, 98% of all of them, including the war in Iraq, in which Canada didn't officially enter. Here's the major publications in Canada. The Islamic State support, Libya support, Haiti support, Iraq support, Afghanistan support, Kosovo support, Bosnia support, Somalia support, Persian Gulf support, Korea support, World War II support. World War II and World War I, I get it, okay? Those ones make total sense. Obviously, at the time, the entire country is supposed to be galvanized into a world war, and then you need the war effort, of which we are directly participating in, to be galvanized around that. But here is the vast majority. The exceptions being the Toronto Star opposed the war in Iraq, one in which we did not actively participate in, and also opposed the war on the Islamic State. That's the exception. Otherwise, here's journalism in Canada, across the board. Like, just look at this. Look at this fucking, oh God, oh, the woke, I'm blinded by woke. I can barely see. There's just too much identity politics just oozing off the media. My God, someone has to take a stand. Who will do it? Who will take a stand?
I'll eat your ass.
Oh God, Alex, calm down.
Do you enjoy the Serfs but prefer not to have to use your eyeballs? Many are saying this. Well, we've got the solution for you. It's the Serf Times in podcast form. Available on most major podcasting networks now. If you enjoy it, please consider leaving a good review and feedback because it really helps the show out, apparently, and it's free, just like the podcast.
To our gods, Xander Corvus and Peyton L. Juste, we beseech thee to smite down our enemies. To our monarch, Tom Spiker, we are but your humble court jesters, here to amuse you. To our lords, Trevor R., we give thanks for this spit of land for us to eke out this meager existence. To our knights, Merid, Cheryl Alvarez, Ruby Kelly, Ellie Leslie, Alex P., Brandon, Words Greenwood, Nate, that one guy, Hagbird Celine, Matthew Scarborough, Stellar Vision, Ariane McCarthy, Daniel Sutton, Coulter Smith, Val 9000, Jenna Tall, Quiet 185, Anna Loves Riley, Omni, Riley and Anna, Poodlehawk, The Tim Caucus, Multi Mondi, Trevor Yanis, Lemmy 101, Anthropophojack, Cern 42, Catherine, Radical Maniac, Ramon Acosta, Nkosin, Violent Orchard, Sophie Baby, Political Puppy, Andreas Chiringuito, Zach Christensen, Josh Mickelson, Todd Buckingham, and Todd Lajeunesse. We raise our flag in a veil, and we salute you, our friends.